Once upon a time, there was a woman with a dog, a beautiful, loyal, friendly dog. And one day she let her dog out into the backyard, but the gate was open, and of course the dog wandered out. And even though she looked and looked and looked for him all over the neighborhood, she never found him. Once upon a time, there was a school at a busy intersection in a busy neighborhood, and the parents of the kids who went to the school worried that all the pollution from all the cars and trucks would make their kids sick, but they had no way to tell whether the air was actually polluted or whether they just worried too much. Once upon a time, there was a medicine that had to be kept cold all the time at the factory and on the truck and at the hospital, because if it got warm, it would go bad and not work. But the doctors, when they gave it to the sick people, had no way to know whether it had gotten warm and would not work. Once upon a time, there was a tracker you could put on a dog, and an air quality monitor you could put near a school, and a thermometer you could put on a vial of medicine. But there was no way to send that location or that carbon monoxide level or that temperature to the people who needed to know them. Now, as you all know, there was a way, a very good way, to send just about anything you wanted, like pictures and videos and recordings of people telling stories, to anybody, anywhere. But to use this way, you had to pay lots of money, and you had to worry about charging your battery all the time. So once upon a time, someone figured out a way, a brilliant way, to send tiny amounts of data a long, long distance using hardly any energy at all, so that it wouldn't cost a lot and a battery would last a long, long time. And he called this way LoRa, for long range. And then, once upon a time, things got a little stuck because nobody wanted to build the LoRa network until things like trackers and air quality monitors and thermometers were made that could use a LoRa network. And nobody wanted to make things to use a LoRa network until the LoRa network was already there. And then, once upon a time, a company said, hey, why don't we make it so anybody, anywhere in the world can help build and run a LoRa network? And why don't we pay them for helping run it and pay them with a magical kind of money called cryptocurrency? And so that company named themselves Helium, and they made a machine that was kind of like your Wi-Fi router, but it could hear from those LoRa things like trackers and air quality monitors and thermometers, even when they were far, far away. And once upon a time, there was a beautiful city filled with wonderful people who wanted to find their lost dogs and know their children were breathing clean air and know their medicine would work when the doctor gave it to them. So they needed to buy those machines from Helium and build a LoRa network. And these people had to do it together because those machines didn't work as well or get as much magical money for their owners when they were alone and all by themselves. No, they needed other machines around them so they could talk to each other and check in on each other to make sure they were working okay. And once upon a time in the beautiful city, there was a very special place run by amazing people where you could go to learn how to make just about anything you wanted. And those amazing people in that very special place decided to bring together the people in the beautiful city to build the network. And so once upon a time, they brought the people in the beautiful city together and told them about the Helium machines and how they worked and how they were safe and how they made the magical money and how the people could work together to build the LoRa network to make their beautiful city better. And then once upon a time, the people from the very special place talked to the people who made the Helium machines and convinced them to sell the machines to the people in the beautiful city for less than they sell them to people in other cities, but only the first 15 people. And then once upon a time, the people from the very special place looked up some information and made some guesses. And if their guesses were right, which they very well might not be, the Helium machines would make enough magical money to pay for themselves in about 6 months. So, if you're one of the wonderful people who live in the beautiful city, and you would like one of the helium machines so that all the wonderful people in the beautiful city can do things like find their lost dogs, and so you can get some of the magical money, this is where you can do it.
There's also a button on the homepage of MakeHaven temporarily while we're trying to recruit some hotspot locations. Thank you, John.
I have a question for John, actually. I actually sent you an email. But I was going to ask you for the LoRa network. That's very interesting. But do you know of any devices that actually use it right now? Or who's actually using the network right now? Or is it something that we're building towards using it in the future?
I think you're muted, John. Yeah.
Yeah, there are lots and lots of LoRa devices out on the market. Helium just started selling one so that people interested in helium can test out the network. It's available only to people who buy those the gateways I was talking about, which they call hotspots. But LoRa has been around for a while. The networks haven't been built out that much, and I think this helium idea is really going to kick it up. But there are just all sorts of LoRa devices, trackers, temperature monitors. They're out there on the market.
JR, Brenda and I are ready to jump onto the network, so you can count us in.
Okay, excellent.
Do you have
to
to
know
be
where to go, Rich?
I'm sorry,
Rich,
what?
do you know where to go to sign up and make your payment?
No, I just contact JR. He'll tell me, I guess, or whatever.
Julia, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. I was just curious if you needed to be within New Haven proper to take part.
I mean, I think we're trying to get to 15, so we may well welcome some, out of area people so that we can get the deal with the lower prices. But the value might be limited if you're in a remote area, because it's the devices have to talk to each other essentially to form a network. And I'm not sure how many neighbors you have, but if you can find some neighbors, that'd be great.
Get it.
Hey,
Out in the wilds of Seymour.
What's the range? Because I believe it's a long range network. Like, how far apart do you need to be close enough?
It is a long-range network. It depends where you are. If you're in the country, it's different from whether you're in a downtown region. If you're downtown, the range is probably a quarter to a half a mile. But if you are, in more a suburban area, the range is probably a mile. The record is a LoRa device up in a balloon transmitted its location for 517 miles. So it can go a long way.
Starlink just contacted me today, and I'm in the running for a Starlink connection to the new satellites that are up there. So if all goes well, I'll have some really great bandwidth, and I won't have to pay anything. I'll be a beta test site. So our roof will get very busy with antennas, I could tell.
You are 100% on my zombie apocalypse team. I'm just putting that out there right now.
I was going to say thank you for making us jealous.